All right. Well, as everybody know, that there's this crazy, crazy trade war going on right now, as everybody knows, as the tariffs, right? So the tariffs, like I explained before in another stream, that tariffs simply mean taxes. So Trump is trying to equalize, and the equalization really got out of hand. And it got so much so out of hand that the United States is now saying that they're going to put a 125% tariff on the United States, right? So with that being said, it is just fascinating what's going on TikTok right now. So right now, I'm going to bring in some TikToks because early this morning, I think I woke up like 5 o'clock, and and I got a notification saying that this is happening, and people on TikTok are saying that they're going to expose these big brands and where they're really being manufactured and how they're actually doing it, right? So, just think about it. Just think about it before I jump into the I was looking at the screen, right? Before I jump into the videos, the clips. You buy something and you you're happy with it. For you women out there, you buy something and you're happy with it. And you got, maybe it's a Gucci, maybe it's a Hermes, maybe it's a Fendi, a Louis V, whatever, a Dolce Gabbana, a Balenciaga, one of these big brands, right? And you're happy with it. All along, you think it's been made in the authentic country like Italy or America, the United States, and it's really been made in China. And then they ship it over to the country, supposedly country of origin, and then they put their stickers on it. All right, so let me go over to these clips, and then we can jump into it. All right.
All propaganda at this point, and all I see right now is that China is going to keep growing and surpassing all the other countries. This is a long time coming because for a really long time, a lot of people looked down on China, but now more people are traveling to China and seeing the reality of the situation, which I think is amazing because the tides turn, I guess. It's all propaganda at this point, and all I see right now is that China is going to keep growing and surpassing all the other countries. This is a long time coming because for a really long time, a lot of people looked down on China, but now more people are traveling to China and seeing the reality of the situation, which
All
I
right.
think is amazing because the tides turn, I guess.
All right. So, like I said, I am sharing video for those of you that are watching on Instagram. I am sharing video clips on YouTube. So if you want a better experience, you head on over to YouTube and watch the stream live on YouTube, right? Because it's just crazy. you know, I feel vindicated because I've told a couple of exes in the past, like, hey, why are you spending so much money? I remember I was uh I was with someone and she manipulated me and used my card. She told me that the purse is going to be $750. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can rock with that, right? And by the time we left the store, the same bag that she talked to me about, and that she said was going to be 750. By the time we left the store, it was 1,800 and something dollars, the base price. Excuse me. Then the luxury price, then the taxes on top of all of that. The bag actually cost over $2,100. And I was, like I said, I was okay. I was okay with the $750. Give me a second. Right? But when the this swindling started, I started feeling this ball in my belly, this ball in my stomach, like, okay, I see where this is going. And I'm trying to hold it together. And while I'm holding it together, she's ecstatic. She's elated that she's going to get this bag. But all along, I was pissed because I'm like, she manipulated, right? And to get her purse. She got the purse. Not to mention, about 3 weeks before, she bought a purse that was $1,200, right? But she saw a couple of her friends with this bag that she had to now have. And I remember she called Sawgrass Mall. They didn't have it. She called mall in a Dolphin Mall. They didn't have it. She called all over, the mall in all over by Bayside. She called. Then finally she called the Boca Mall, and they had it. So we had to drive from Miami, right, all the way to Boca to get this bag, right? And then when we got up there, they said, "Oh, they don't have it." They didn't know that we were going to come up, so they shipped it to the malls down in Bayside, right? So then we had to drive back down all the way from Boca Mall to now go back down there to get the bag, and that's where the manipulation started, right? So let me go over and get another clip up. So let me get rid of this clip and share this one. So let me go over here and I'll scroll up here. So where is this one? No, right here. Scroll up. Why is it not scrolling? Come on. All right, there it is.
China is not playing with the United States, and honestly, I don't think we have the capability to win a trade war with them. I was watching BBC, and they had this man on there, and the anchor asked him, what's China going to do about all these tariffs, 125, 140 something percent? And he said, China has been around for 5,000 years, well before America, and China's going to be around for 5,000 years more. We'll adapt. And as soon as I was done watching that interview, I turned on TikTok and I saw this lady, and it looks like they're adapting pretty well. China is using their citizens to tell Americans on one of the biggest apps in America how to buy direct from supplier and skip the big name brand. All those brands you like are made in China, and they come from Chinese suppliers. We're talking about Zara, Sephora. They had Lululemon on here. They had Stanley Cup. They had a bunch of different companies, and they have this algorithm. They know demographics. They know exactly who you are. Every other ad for me is big and tall clothes and Jordans. Straight Chinese suppliers. I honestly don't see a situation where America wins a trade war with a country like China. China is not playing with the United States, and honestly, I don't think we have the capability to win a trade war with them.
Pause this one. All right. So for those of you that are listening, you heard that, right? You heard that. China believed that America doesn't have the capability, the sustainability to compete with them, while America is saying that we are the consumers and that we have the power of the dollar to beat China. But what you guys are not knowing is that China, no, America is indebted to China, right? So while this trade war is going on, right? While this trade war is going on, they have other backdoor deals going on that the common folks like you and I don't really know about, right? And because we don't really know about these backdoor deals, we think that this tariff war is the end all be all and everything is going to be fine, right? In a previous stream, I did say that America is trying to equalize what's going on with the tariffs. How China has always been getting ahead. They've always been ahead. They've always charged a higher tax on goods going from America to China, but America charged a low tax for goods coming into America from China. So I believe. Let me quickly do a search, right? Let me quickly do a search. So what was the tariff? Oh, sorry, tariff that China had on the U.S. Let me put a dot here. U.S. Come on. Before the tariff war started. Let me see if I can find that. No, that was old. So let me go back. I'm gonna look at Wikipedia. So that's 25%. So back in 2000, an economic conflict between China and the United States. Let me expand this while I read it. Let me expand this while I read it. Okay. What's the... All right. Expand. Oh, okay, right here. All right. Let me give it a little more, bring it a little bigger. All right, I think that's good. So you guys can see it. So, an economic conflict between China and the United States has been ongoing since January 2018, when U.S. President Donald Trump began setting tariffs on other trade barriers on China with the goal of forcing it to make changes to what the United States or U.S. say are long-standing, unfair trade practice and intellectual property theft. There's something there with this intellectual property theft, right? Don't believe entirely everything that you read. Some of it is true, but some of it is not true. All right? So don't fully believe that. And I'm going to explain before I go back to reading. So here's why I'm saying that long time ago, what happened when corporations in America, the prices for them were too high for labor, and they wanted to find alternative labor, lower labor costs, so they start looking elsewhere. So a deal was struck with different countries, China being one of them. And that deal said, okay, we will give you certain benefits if you give us lower rates on your labor. And deals were struck between corporations in America and China manufacturers. But you're not being told that right now. What you've been told is that China just has always been unfair. And it's because of the United States why China is such a powerhouse right now. Because the United States dollar is the currency, is the world trade currency. That's why we have so many wars, so many assassinations have happened, because when any president from any nations, sovereign countries now, like Libya and other Burkina Faso, and other African nations would try to combine their resources together to say, hey, we need to build together. What would happen? Then somebody would get offed it. They would send out snipers and get rid of that problem, so to speak, right? So don't entirely believe that. So when the intellectual property of the United States supposedly are being stolen, no, because the United States corporations are making deals with China because China is biggest. Remember, China and India are the two largest economy when it comes to trading with the Western countries, right? Namely, United States, Canada, UK, and any other countries, France, right? So just be aware of that. So let me get back to reading this. So the first Trump administration stated that these practices may contribute to the US-China trade deficit, and that the Chinese government requires transfer of American technology to China. In response to US trade measures, CCP, that's the Chinese Communist Party, General Secretary Xi Jinping administration accused the Trump administration of engaging in nationalism, protectionism, and took retaliatory actions. After the trade war escalated through 2019, in January 2020, the two sides reached a tense Phase 1 agreement. By the end of the Trump first presidency, the trade war was widely criticized as a failure for the United States. And of course, we know what happened. And the Biden administration came in, and we had the scamdemic, and so much more has happened since. All right. So let me go back to the videos, and then we can continue from there. All right. So let me bring this one up. Let me see what this one looks like. All right. All right. So let me continue playing. No.
I was watching BBC and they had this man on there.
I already played this one. So I want to bring a different one. Aha. So I'm going to bring this one in. Nope. Not you. Not you, my friend. Not you. I don't want you yet. Let's play
China
her.
said, fuck them tariffs. They are offering 13% cash back on any purchases from American citizens. And not only that, they're going to give you 280 hours of visa-free entry into China to go shopping. No paperwork, nothing to do, no visa needed. You can just go to China and buy whatever it is you want. They said if America wants to try to keep American citizens from buying foreign goods, good luck. Because not only can you come here and buy the same shirt that you would buy in America for $40 and buy it there for $21, they also took away all.
Isn't that crazy? They're telling us that the same shirt that you've been paying $40 for, $50, $60 for, $100+ for, you can go there without any issues. They're going to let us in free to come there and buy whatever we want. No problem, right? So basically, when you think of this strategy, it's kind of genius in a way, right? Because they're saying, okay, you are doing this to stop the trade between us. Whatever agreement that we've had over the years, may be good, may be bad, it was an agreement. And now you're doing this tariff war. Now you're starting this, you want to charge 120%, right? And like I said, I understand what's really happening as to why this trade war is happening. However, let's go back. And now they're saying, hey, we're going to go directly to the consumer. not only that we're going to go directly, the CCP is saying, I believe, allegedly, I don't know. I've never been in China. I've never sat with the parliament, right? I don't know what's going on with their party, like most of us. But this is an assumption. I'm going to assume that the Chinese Communist Party said to the manufacturers, tell the world, America being the focus point, that we will allow them to come and buy directly from us. They don't have to wait until the ship comes over and gets to the port, and then it has to go through customs for clearing, and they have to charge the shipment, and then the price is double, because in retail there is a 300% markup on any retail. So because there's a 300% markup, something may cost only $10 to make, right? And then by the time it gets from China to the port here in America, and the fees are added onto it, that $10 is now tripled to now $30, right? And well, no, sorry, if it's a 300%, it's now tripled to $40, and then by the time it gets to the store, it's now double. So you'll be paying $150, right? And in some cases, it depends on how cheap because you can go buy a T-shirt, and the T-shirt might look not that bulky and nice, and the material is sleek and clean and just feel so smooth when you touch it, right? You know what I'm talking about, people that buy luxury items. I've a few expensive shirts here and there, and when you touch the material, it feels so smooth, right? Now, imagine that shirt really costs $1 to make, and by the time it gets to you, you're paying $30 for it to wear it, right? All right. So let's continue. All right, let me go back.
All prosecutions from fake brands. So they used to prosecute retailers who were making knockoff brands. They said, not anymore, honey. You can come buy all you want. They're not prosecuting any of their citizens for making knockoff brands like Nike, Versace, Gucci, none of that shit. And now they're going to give you 280 hours travel free to come on over there and buy whatever it is you want with a 13% instant cash rebate. I think y'all fucked around with the wrong one, man. I can't even hold you.
All right. So right? That's crazy, right?
Stop. Girl,
all right.
China said.
So let me switch back over. So, like I say, folks on Instagram, the stream is happening on Facebook, where you can actually see the videos, the clips, right? So if you want to head over to Facebook, go to Think and Say, right? At Think and Say on YouTube, and you'll see the live stream. The title, as you can see, the title on Instagram, it says Chinese manufacturers expose luxury brands, right? So look for that, and you can see the videos, the clips that I'm sharing. Now, just think about how fascinating it is. It's almost crazy. It's ludicrous, right? Shout out to Ludacris, right? It's ludicrous how we will buy something that we're super happy about. I come to find out, then when they say it's made in Italy, and you're like, oh man, this is an Italian brand. This is the finest, exquisite, right? And then now we're finding out that, wait, all the textiles came from China. The cuts are done in China. But what happened is that these brands set up their factories in China. They would send their engineers, their design engineers, their creative team over to China to teach the Chinese how to manufacture to precision what the customers has come to expect. And then, give me a second. And then the finished product over to Italy, and then they'll put their logo on. They will engrave their name, made in Italy, but it's really made in China, right? Made in Italy, package it and give it the elegance, right? The magnifique elegance that's coming from Italy, right? From France, and send it to the United States. And we now, because we are so conditioned and we're a society of consumers and we are so conditioned, we now are happy and excited to spend all the money that we have to buy the brand that was marketed to us. If you know, or should I say notice, that when we turn on the TV, most of us don't really watch TV as much anymore. I don't really watch TV like that anymore, unless I'm watching a movie or something like that. But mostly what happened is that every few minutes we watch something on TV, a commercial. And now every few minutes we watch a video on YouTube, Facebook, and some other platforms, right? We see a commercial. And if it's not where it's a video commercial like on Instagram or Snapchat, and we scroll, we see an ad. We are constantly being marketed to, right? We're constantly being marketed to. So we have been conditioned to be consumers. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I want that. You must give it to me. I want more, 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 more. Opulence, opulence, opulence. Right? Because that's what we have come, right? Because to expect. From birth, we watch cartoons. They're marketing to us about toys, right? Disney World. We're constantly being marketed to. And I even had a conversation with my daughter, and I had a conversation with other people, and I said, hey, our thoughts are not our own thoughts. And it was like, oh, yeah, I'm a free thinker, and I'm not conditioned, I'm not programmed. Like, yeah, we are all programmed. Because if we were living in the wilderness and we see the animals in the wilderness or the animals in the jungle do something a certain way to hunt and gather their foods, that's how we're going to hunt and gather our foods. We're going to be conditioned as such. So in a world where we're living, where most of our goods are manufactured elsewhere, in order to keep the economy going, they have to send these goods to us and we have to buy. I'm going to digress for a second. Woman out there, have you ever thought that as to why whenever there's an issue where you're in a relationship, married or not married, and you have your spouse, your companion, and you conceive a child, and let's say the relationship doesn't work, and not talking to the good woman out there, I'm talking to the woman that they still want to live a free spirit life, they want to go out and party, have fun, thought it up, go to the club, shake that ass and, do all their thing. And they're not really focused on really being a mother. And so the father is taking care of the child. And the father is not asking for child support or anything like that. But yet the mother can file child support, go to court, and the courts will give her child support while the child is staying with the father. You ever wonder why? I'm going to tell you why. And this is just to digress how the economy is structured in a way to make sure it keeps moving. The machine keeps moving. Because the reason why it's done that way is because men are more conservative. We tend to want to hold on to our money. Most of us, right? And women love opulence. They tend to want to spend. So, in order for the economy to keep going, they will say, okay, yes, you have a child. You're both adults, or you did the adult act that conceive a child, but you need to pay and you need to give her the money. And every time you give her the money, she go get her hair done, her nails done, her toes done. So she go get a manicure and a pedicure and buy new clothes, and she's fabulous, and she goes out the next weekend while the child is staying with the father, right? So let's go back now. So that's another way that we are consumers, because we're constantly being told this is how you do it to be able to have money in your pocket so you can spend. Right? All right. So let's watch another clip. And like I say, on you're on Instagram, you can head on over to YouTube, right? Remember, while you're watching on Instagram, or if you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, right? Help us to get to our 10,000 subscribers and followers, right? We want to be a bigger channel, right? And you guys can help us. Share, like, tell your friends, tell a friend, and and keep it moving. All right. So let me share some more videos. There's a particular one I want to bring in. Let me see. Let me go. Yeah, this one right here.
It looks like.
All right. So let me go back. All right. So this one right here. Let me bring it over here. Next. I want to put it right here. All right. So let me bring
China
it over.
ain't come to play with us. They done came out and exposed to the world that these bags that we think are dupes, knockoffs, fakes, they are actually real. And these luxury retailers, they got another storm coming, because China is letting the cat out the bag to let folks know you ain't even got to go to them no more. You can just pull up on us and we gonna give you the real deal. Ooh, I don't know if Trump done pissed off the wrong people, but these people are out here just telling you, listen, all these folks do is buy from us. They take them to their little warehouses, put that little stamp on it, but it came from us. It came from us. And you know what? Y'all was out here making fun of people for rocking dupes and trying to look at a bit Jordan to see if the jump man turned to the left or the right. But realistically, 95% of everything we use on a day-to-day basis come from China. So how can we discredit these people? We can't. So you know what, y'all? Bump all that. You want a Hermes, you want a Chanel, no matter if you can or you can't afford it. Hey, China said they got it for you. It's hot and it's ready. Don't worry about going to these luxury retailers, because we can get it to you. We can ship it to you. We got what you need. It looks like China ain't come to play with us.
Yep. 1 second. Let me. All right. So just had to find something real quickly. All right. So now I'm going to click back over to another video, because like I said before, this is getting really, really interesting. I almost believe that Donald Trump is going to say, hey, 150% tariff. Right? Just to think about how China is saying, you don't really need certain credentials to come here. We're going to grant you access to China to come and buy. See, when money is in play, color don't match. Our melanin, or let me put it in camera, sorry. Our melanin don't have an issue. Our Okay, I use this as an example, right? Let me use this as an example. So, in this world, we are considered either what? Black or white. And then everybody else is in between, right? We're black or white, right? Okay. So, just think about it. When money is in play, nothing else matter, right? So there's so much divisiveness going on, and I'm not one for it. I love everybody. I love everybody. You know, a couple of people are going to be mad at me, but I must say this: I like to see mixed couples. I think it creates dynamics in relationships because you get to understand different cultures and have a personal one-on-one experience with it, right? But let's continue. I think I digress. I don't want to get off topic, right? Let me go back over. Let me pull this next video up. All right. So screen share and play.
The bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made saying made in China. The bag can never be luxury. Some say as long as there's a tag saying made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China.
The guy just said over 80% of the luxury brands are made in China. 80%. That's 80% of the luxury brand are made in China. Right? Just wrap your head around that. 80%. So 10 would be 100%, right? 80% are made in China. That means the other 2% are possibly made in the United States, Canada, Italy, where else? Germany, Australia, Netherlands, wherever else in Europe, right? 2% of the luxury brands. And I'll pull up a list of the luxury brands in the world in a second, but let's continue playing this.
China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. You know, those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury. Now, close your eyes. Let's just do a little, very easy experiment in your head, okay? Imagine that you have an Hermes bag, and suddenly the label on it changed from made in France into made in China, while everything else, like leathers, zippers, and hardware, remain the same. Do you suddenly feel that your bag is not as luxury as before? If you do, that means you have been misled and poisoned by the market campaign of those luxury brands for too long. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China by our intelligent and diligent Chinese artisans. Let's not be poisoned and misled by the market campaign any longer and be a real person. Buy a bag from us, from our factory in China. See the real world for yourself.
All right, so let me close this out.
85 cents, 85 cents.
Okay, so let me come over. So for those of on Instagram, let me tell you. Let me repeat some of what you just said. You just heard me said it, right?
Some say as long as there's a tag.
Oh, sorry about that. So, all right. Again, I'm going to repeat. 80% of the luxury brands are made in China. So, my friends out there, I feel vindicated. Let me pop my collar on both sides. I feel vindicated because I've been saying for years, it's one of the reasons why you can look at my shirt. Sorry, you can look at my shirt and you don't see any brands on it. Right? Why? Because I think it's ludicrous, crazy, asinine, insane in the membrane to go out, spend your money, 150, 1,000, whatever the item costs, with a brand on it. Now, let's say you want to buy a nice dress or a nice shirt, pants, outfit, whatever. And it's just clean, just plain, no really brand on it. Like personally, I won't go out and buy a brand to wear it on my chest. I'm paying them to become their billboard, right? So other people can look at me as a billboard and go buy the brand. So they're winning 3 times. I pay them, 1, I billboard for them, 2, and then I'm marketing for them, 3, for other people to go and buy their brand, right? And I'm not getting anything from it. Neither are you. Neither are you are getting anything for it, right? However, the same company will give people, celebrities, millions of dollars to wear their brands, right? So if you're not being paid for wearing a brand, you shouldn't become their billboard. Like personally, if somebody buys me something and it has a brand on it, I may wear it. But me going out and spending my money and buying it is a great possibility that I won't. There are brands that I buy, but they because the material is nice and it looks good, but the logo is inside, so no one can really see what it is. Because let's face it, these big brands, luxury brands, been around for hundreds of years. Some of them been around since the 80s, like Coach. The 1800s, like Coach, right? And they have come to be known as some of the finest manufacturers of purse, luggages, finest. So when you go out and you buy a Coach, even if it's made in China, the material that they bring together to manufacture their product is really refined, really good, real good quality. So because it's real good quality, we tend to want to buy these products, right? But to think about it, that all the years that we've been taught that these products that we're buying are coming from the country of origin, when really they're coming from the people that we're now having trade wars with, right? So how are we going to reconcile that? How are we, one sec, let me move this slightly this way. Yes, how are we going to reconcile that to know now, because of this trade war, that the products that we've come to know and love have been made in China? All right, let me pull something else up. Give me a second here. All right. Let me see this over here. All right, no, I already played that.
And brought over to the...
All right. So I'm going to play another video clip. And like I say, anybody that's on Instagram, you can join us over on Facebook, and you can see me sharing these clips on Facebook. All right, so I'm going to Sorry, not Facebook. Sorry, YouTube. My apologies. YouTube. Right? So we're also on Facebook, where we're not streaming on Facebook. Facebook changed their regulation, so we're streaming on YouTube primarily, right? So today is actually, for those of you that's on Instagram, today is the first time that I actually went live on Instagram. And I've been contemplating it for a while, you know, possibly going to get a nicer phone or to do this. This is actually a trial run for me on Instagram, because I want to do a dating advice show on Instagram, right? And where people can ask me questions. But I digress. All right, so let me play this video. Let me come over. All right, so
Talks that China is putting out about all the secrets on how luxury items are made, and they're just slapping the names on it. Y'all, if you have not seen the TikToks that China is putting out about the things that are being manufactured in China and brought over to the United States of America, you should go and check it out. You should go and check it out. Trump, you should have left them alone. You should have left them the fuck alone. This is the fuck around and find out stage. They are through.
she said that Trump should have left China alone, because the Chinese are revealing the truth, and this is the F around and find out, the fuck around and try and find out, right? How the abbreviation go? FR, fuck around and find out, right? Wait, let me have some fun with that. I never really write that down, right? So don't laugh at me, people. Don't laugh at me, people. Okay? So around and find out. So that's FAAFO. F around. F around and find out, right? So let me write this down so you guys can let me have some. I'm having some fun with this, right? So all right, so here it is, right? FAAFO. Fuck around and find out. Here it is, right? So I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera. I'm putting it on the camera right there, right? So right, down, yeah. F around and find out. All right, so enough of that. So let me continue playing the video.
And they are spilling all the beans. Oh my God! Chanel handbags. Chanel handbags.
Chanel handbags.
Cosmetics.
Yes.
Skims.
Hey, wait. Hey, guess what? It's not just the clothing, the textile. It's not just the textile. It's also the makeup, right? So when they're telling you, when MAC and other luxury makeup line are telling you that they made it themselves, a lot of time it's made in China. Like, I'm in Florida, and in Fort Lauderdale, there are a few manufacturers that actually make makeup, right? I actually had an appointment at once about a year or two ago to go there and see the factories, because I was interested in how the process is, and I was thinking about, hey, maybe I want to one day start a makeup line, right? And I know for certain that they make the products in Fort Lauderdale, but for large corporation that has mass volume that they have to ship across the world. Remember, we live in an absolutely massive globe, right? Massive world. So, like I said, I mentioned earlier before that women are the biggest consumers, right? And and hold a second. Someone says, HT sent a request to be in your live. Okay. Accept. Hold on. And a request. Accept. Did I come through? Hold on. Let me see if okay. All right. You have okay, so all right. So exceptional delight. Nix, are you live? I can't hear you on the Instagram. You have no requests. I guess you must have hang up. I don't know. All right. I don't know what happened. If you want to send a request to join again. Oh, you came off. All right. It's all good. You know, I'm on Instagram and also on YouTube. Right? Like this is the first time on the gram, you know. Big up, big up. Yeah. So going back now to what I was saying. The volume, the sheer volume of cosmetics that have to be shipped across the globe is astronomical. And I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again, women are the biggest consumers. You know, I was having a conversation. Let me flip the camera. You know, I was having a conversation. And in the conversation, I should switch the camera much sooner than that because I was saying something that is poignant that I should have actually switched the camera on YouTube. But women are the biggest consumers. And I was having a conversation yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, I think it was yesterday. Oh, yeah, it was yesterday. So, ladies out there, women out there, you are now wearing makeup. For decades, women are wearing makeup. Women are wear dress. For decades, women wear dress. Women wear high heels. For decades, women are wearing high heels. Right? But here is something crazy. And wigs. Let's not forget wigs. Let's not forget the wigs. Do you know that wigs were not created for women? Wigs were first created for men. You can see evidence of that when the justice, they wear wigs. But because the brands know that women are the biggest spenders, they start marketing hair extensions, designer wigs for women to wear. And then they use the celebrities from way back in the past, like Whitney Houston, even Madonna wore wigs, right? People that are familiar with Lady Gaga wear wigs. Beyonce wear wigs, right? What's her name? Megan Thee Stallion wear wigs. Who else? Who else is big out there? Nicki Minaj wear wigs, right? Some of the biggest wear wigs. And then we get to the makeup. Makeup was first made for men because women weren't allowed to adorn themselves with certain look, right? Because they were supposed to be protected and their body hidden away from the eyes that lust for women. So again, the big brands realize that women are the biggest consumers. So what happened? They start marketing makeup to women, hair products to women, right? Skincare to women. If you look in the past and any past pictures centuries ago, you realize that men wore skirts. And I'm not advocating for men wearing, because right now people are kind of gender fluid and men are wearing dresses now. And I give you a great point. Like women aren't supposed to wear pants, but women wear pants because women aren't supposed to wear pants because women have a certain part on their body that needs to breathe so they don't get a certain adverse effects happen from that, right? If any of you out there are watching and listening to me and understand what I'm saying, you probably know who Napoleon is. And you've probably heard the term Napoleon complex because high heels were created for Napoleon because he was short and he wanted to feel higher, so he got high heels to be made for him. Tights weren't made for women. They were made for men, right? The musketeers wore tights. They wore tights, high heels, right? Tight clothes with frill on it, frills around their neck. They adorned themselves. So they had their wigs. Let me see if I can pull up a picture. Those of you that are on Instagram, you're not going to see this, but let me see if I can pull up a picture on YouTube and share it. So give me a second. Napoleon. Where is it? Napoleon. Let me see if I see him. No. Give me a second. Let me screen share this. So while I do the search, Napoleon. I think it's Bonaparte. Yeah, I think this is him. Yes, King of Italy. So this is Napoleon, right? And the Napoleon complex. Let me see make sure I have the right guy here. I don't want to give you the wrong information. Let me type in how tall was Napoleon. How tall was Napoleon? 5'6" and a half, right? So Napoleon was often described as being short in stature. All right, so yeah, so let me expand this. You guys can see it. All right. So Napoleon was often described as being short in stature. In actual fact, the height of 5'2" recorded on his death was in French units, which were equivalent to today measures of 5'6" and a half, 6.5 inches, right? But he had a stigmatism because of that. His issue was he felt he was too short, so he wanted to be taller, so he got high heels made. So let me pull up the musketeers. The musketeers. I want to make sure I'm spelling it right. Let me see. Musketeers. All right. No, that's the movie. No, that's the movie. All right. I want to show you guys something when I tell you that where it is. I'm trying to find this. No. All right. Tight. Tight clothing. Made for men. All right. So this is, I hope you guys can see it. Let me expand it a little bit more. I have it at 175. Let me go to 200. Okay. Yes. Tight clothing has a long history in men fashion. Leggings and other tight-fitting garments were worn by men in various cultures, including medieval period and Renaissance, for both practical and fashionable reasons. In the 16th and 17th century, tight-fitting hose, H-O-S-E, okay? Hose, H-O-S-E. So tight-fitting hose, tights, were a symbol of high fashion for men. People, do you hear that? So when I tell you that wigs, leggings, tights, high heels, makeup, all of that were created for men. All of it, right? But like I said, the manufacturers knows that women are heavy spenders. So I highlighted on YouTube while I'm talking so you guys can actually see it. It's a fact, right? So we're kind of back to this fluidity where men are wearing tight clothes. Like the other day, you know, being a straight guy, heterosexual guy, I was walking. No, I was riding my bicycle. To grab something from the store, and I saw a guy crossing the road. And at first, I wasn't sure it was a guy because the clothes was tight fitting. And so I looked as a straight guy would. So I just looked, I glanced. And was I riding a? No. I was with a friend. We were driving, right? And I looked, and I double take because it was like, whoa, it's a man. I was like, did you see that? That's a guy in tight clothes. And she says, yeah, men have been wearing tight clothes for a while. But I know men have been wearing tight clothes for a long time. So I turned to her and said, hey, you know that these things that women are wearing right now, adorning themselves, were made for men. And now I got to find out because a lot of gay men wear woman clothing. But the gender fluidity has taken such a hold that men are going back to wearing clothes that used to be worn in the past. But I digress. Let me get back to the videos, right? I decided today I was just going to do a stream, and I'm just going to go in on talking about this terrorist war that's happening and the history of some of what's been really going on, right? And how textiles and clothing and makeup were being made and where they're being made, right? Because in the past there were lots of stuff were made in the United States until it was outsourced back like maybe around 30 years ago, right? Maybe a little longer than that. I think let me do a search and see when did manufacturing got outsourced to China? When was manufacturing? Let me just come down here, go back. Outsourced to China. Okay. All right, so let me bring it up. Let me highlight this. So as you guys can see here, let me see, make sure that this is big enough so you guys can see it. Okay, is that 200%? All right, so manufacturing, the shift towards outsourcing manufacturing to China began in the late 1970s and early 80s. This period was China's economic reform, opened its economy to foreign investors. So let me read this again. This period saw China's economic reform open its economy to foreign investors, making it an attractive location for manufacturing. Factors like lower labor cost, government support, and infrastructure development further fueled this trend, right? So it wasn't like China just came and just say, hey, we'll take everything. It was a push towards outsourcing because think about it. When the United States dollar had more value, when a dollar could buy a whole lot. I remember when a dollar could buy a whole lot. I remember when gas was 50 cents a gallon. I remember when gas was 79 cents a gallon. That was back in the 80s, right? When I was a little boy, right? Young man. And gas was so cheap. Listen, I remember when I used to eat meat and I went to Burger King. Did you know how much at Burger King and McDonald's a Whopper was? 45 cents. Right? Let me look what year that was. Let me look what year was that. When was a Whopper 45 cents? Oh, no, put a dot there. No, dot. Okay. So let me screen share this. So I highlight this. Highlight this right here. Let me do something before I do that. So, all right, let me read this now. The original price of a Whopper at its introduction in 1957 was 37 cents. However, a promotional offer for Burger King reward members made the Whopper available for 37 cents for a limited time in 2021. In 1998, the Whopper was featured at a price of 99 cents, right? For a short time. But I remember going to buy a Whopper, and the Whopper was 45 cents with taxes. I think it came like to 40 with a soda and juice. It came to like, I think it was like, how much? I think it was like 70 cents, 75, 80 cents with taxes, right? It's been such a while, but it was quite inexpensive. It was quite inexpensive for a Whopper back then. So when money was expensive, manufactured got shipped to China, because when you send $1 to China and they can get a whole outfit made, right? And the entire outfit only costs 50 cents to make. And then they bring it to the United States and they can sell that same outfit for $25, right? You can understand why the corporations, like startup corporations that maybe like maybe had needed like 50,000, 25,000 back in the 80s or 100,000 back in the 80s to start a brand, right? And you can take from that $100,000 investment and you can go to China with like $5,000 and spend, and you can get almost a warehouse full of different sizes of shirts and pants and dresses and things and such, and you can get makeup and all of that. 5, 10,000, 15, 20, 25,000. Massive warehouse full of product. And you can turn around, and that dollar now made you, from that $1 you made $10 or 20, $25. And that's been going on for decades. You can understand how this corporation became multi-billion-dollar corporations, people. Multi-billion-dollar corporations, right? So just understand, right? When right now we see this corporation and they're worth $100 billion or $50 billion. It's because they were wise back then, and money was expensive back then. Now, the value of a dollar. Let me show you the value of a dollar now. The value dollar over time, right? And then I'm going to go back to talking about what's going on. Then I'm going to read this and go back to what's going on with this tariff war, right? And play some more video clips. And like everybody that's on the gram, you can go over to YouTube and you can watch the stream, right, to get more interactive, because I can't share the content on Instagram. You can only see me talking, yapping away, right? But let me go over and read this. Let me share the screen. Inflation calculation. So let me see. Let me see. Let me see where I can get this information. I am trying to find something much better, more cleaner to read. The dollar will be valued. No. What will the dollar be worth in 20 years? Okay, what was the dollar? Okay, let's go to here. So let me see. Let me pull this up. So let me highlight this, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read this. $1 in 1990 is equivalent in purchasing power of about $1.74 in 2019. So you needed 74 more cents to be able to buy the same thing you would pay, excuse me, my apologies, you would pay $1 for in 1990. So an increase of 74 cents in 29 years, right? Let's see what the dollar was worth in let me see, how much was $100 worth in 1980? Let me highlight this. And you can understand, you'll be able to understand why they send the labor over to China, Vietnam, and places like that. But China was the biggest market for textile. And let me just give you a piece of information there so you can understand. It wasn't just China alone. It was China and India, because a lot of the material, the textile, was coming from India, right? The plain white textile, the weaving and putting the material together, the satin, the silk, the wool, the cotton, a lot of it was coming, a lot of the cotton was coming from the United States way back then. You understand that period of time, but a lot of it was also coming from places like India, right? And then it was shipped to China, and China did the refinement and the coloring and all of that, and then do the manufacturing of the clothing. Let me read this. So let me share this. A $100 shopping spree in 1980 would set you back a whopping $359 at today's price. So $100, my people, $100, right? In today's dollar is $359. Somebody asked me the other day when I said you could take $50 and fill a shopping cart. You could fill a fridge with $50. If you don't believe me, ask old people that are older than me. Ask people that are in their 70s and their 60s and right in their 50s. Ask people. They'll tell you that $50 back in the 80s could fill their refrigerator. That's meat, their eggs, their cabbage, their lettuce, their onions, their rice, their beans, everything. Their fridge would be full with $50 and money, spare change left over. Because you go to the store right now and you spend $400 and you barely have anything in your cart. Your cart is kind of like full, almost full, but it's $400. Your cart is probably halfway. You need about a good $500-$600 to have a full shopping cart with everything you would spend $50 to $75 to maybe $100 back in the 80s. I'm telling you this because I used to go buying groceries when my mom used to send me to the store, right? So you can understand why they outsource labor to China, right? You can understand because dollar was expensive, right? All right, so let me go back and play some more videos. Let me see which one am I going to play next. I played that one already. I'm going to close these out, the ones I played already. Let me see what this one is. All right, I'll close this one out too. Let me see what this one is. I played this one already. Let me continue to play it.
Y'all are done. Done.
All right, so let me close this out too. All right, and then come back over here. I want to see what this is. All right, I'm close this. Oh, I don't need this right now. All right, I'll just keep that one open. All right, so I'm going to play this. But before I play this, what I want to do, I want to show you guys some of the big brands. So I have a list right here of some of the massive brands, right, that are being sold at stores in the United States. So let me bring this to 200. Let me see. All right. I don't cut it. I'm going to expand it more. It's 200. All right. So cool. All right. Designer brands, right? So some of the ones that you guys are familiar with are Dolce & Gabbana, right? And you have Dolce & Gabbana, Lila Rose. Some of these that you guys don't really know about. I don't really know about them because I'm not a fashionista. You know, some of you on Instagram that are watching, like I have a friend on Instagram, and I know personally that she's a fashionista, right? I seen her shopping, right? She's probably cracking up right now, right? Fashionista. And some of these brands, Some people know. I don't know, but I'm familiar with Dolce and Gabbana, Lila Rose, uh, Adam Lipes. I'm familiar with that. Not too familiar. Let me see. Then we have familiar with Lisa Marie Fernandez, Saint Laurent. Which other one here? Let me see. Let me see which other ones I'm familiar with here. But this is a list. Balenciaga. These are Givenchy. What else? What else I'm familiar with here? Versace, Valentino, Undercover, Tom Ford, Tom Wood, Thorne Sweeney, Thom Brown. Some of these I'm familiar. I've seen these brands. I've actually touched some of them. Let me see other ones that are here. Burberry. They Burberry been around for a long time. Jimmy Choo. There was this girl that was sweet on me back around, I think like 10 years. Very attractive, very attractive. It was sweet on me back around 10 years. You know, as most people, any woman that knows me, I like very slim woman, attractive woman with certain quality, the naturality, if you know what I mean, the natural hair. And I'm sorry for people that wear wigs, right? But I would much rather be with a chick with nappy hair, as you see, kinky hair. I like the naturalness. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the how coarse her hair is. I just like to see the natural look. That's just, most men will tell you that. So if anybody on Instagram or anybody that's on YouTube that offended by that, we have our preferences too, right? So let me go back to what I was saying. This young lady, this young woman that I used to be sweet on me back in the days, right? Jimmy Choo, every time she's going to the store, she'll call me and she'll say, "Hey, what you doing?" I'm like, I'm working right now. I'm doing something right now. I'm taking care of some business right now. She said, "Man, I want you to go to the store with me." I said, "Why?" She said, "I want you to help me pick out some Jimmy Choo." And I'm like, "Why am I going to the store with you to pick out your shoes?" She said, "Because I bought 3 Jimmy Choo and came and show it to you. And the way you describe the color and the texture and how everything was blended is as if you know how to blend colors and you're good at this." And I told her that when I was younger, my mom used to take me to the store because I was good with matching colors. And so I'm very familiar with how colors blend. And she would want me to go with her to pick out shoes, but I never went. I never went any of the time. But that was her favorite shoes. I mean, from the time I known her, right? And my friend Carlene used to say, "Hey, Susha, why don't you go with her? She likes you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go with her another time." Right? Until eventually we lost contact of each other. Right? But Jimmy Choo, right? I know I used to be with this one woman, and everything Coach. Coach purse, luggage, handbags. She loved it's like that's mainly what she bought, Coach. Right? And then someone else I was with, I spoke about her earlier. Louis V. Right? What's going on with my audio? Let me close this. Yeah. So everything everything Louis V, like, or everything Coach, they have to have it. It's the woman nature, right? I have a friend right now, and there's one thing about her that I admire. She's simple, and she likes the nice stuff, but she's not going to go out of her way for buying those nice stuff. She'll just essentially leave it alone, right? That's just how she is, right? And I like that about her, right? All right. So let me screen share and continue. So then we have Chloe. We know who Chloe is, right? One of the Kardashians. Chanel. There's a chick that I know, her name was Chanel. And every purse, watch, glasses she had, Chanel, right? Of course, we know about Christian Dior. And let me see what other company here that I'm familiar with. J.M. Western, Jill Sander. What other company besides Jill Sander? Prada. You know the movie The Devils Wear Prada. So there are so many different brands here, right? And like I said, some of them I don't know. There's Ralph Lauren Pearl Label. Let me see what other brands here. Celine. I'm familiar with Celine. What other brands here that I'm familiar with? Zimmerman. I'm familiar with Zimmerman. Victoria Beckham. I understand. I know who that is. What else? What else am on this? St. John. So these are some of the big brands. So let me just screen share and just scroll it down from the top so you guys can actually see, you know. Let me move this for a second. All right, so as you guys can see this, these are all the brands, and I'm going to scroll down so you guys can actually take a look at these big brands. And a lot of these brands are made in China. Like Donald Trump would say, China, right? So these brands here, oh, Bodega Veneta, yeah, I'm familiar with that brand too. So, Jean-Paul Gaultier, I'm familiar with that one too. Okay, so these are the. Oh, I'm familiar with Lafayette 148 New York. I'm familiar with that one. All right, so these are some of the big brands that have been made in places like China. Right? All right, so let me go back over, screen share for a second. And I want to play this video now. So I'm going to play this video with someone, and this guy seems like a bit of a liberal. So he's talking about Donald Trump and how Donald Trump friends have, the tariff war have made his friend made billions of dollars. So let me screen share and bring that back over. Hold on, let me start it from the beginning.
On camera saying that the tariff pause, Donald Trump, how did Donald Trump slip up on camera saying that the tariff pause made his friends a whole lot richer? And some seem to believe that this was his plan all along. Look at this. Again, Donald Trump is openly bragging about just how much money his billionaire buddies made off his dangerous tariff gambit. He made $2.5 million a day, he said, and $900 million. That's not bad. But the day's biggest winner went to you-know-who, Elon Musk, as he made a whopping $36 billion as Tesla stock soared up to 23%. Some even sparked major concerns of obvious market manipulation. Meanwhile, many Americans was losing money. Prices of shit is going up, but he don't care. It's all about him and his billionaire buddies. But as I always say, this is who y'all voted for. So why did Donald Trump?
All right. So he said, obviously based on that last statement he made, he says, like I always say, this is who y'all voted for. So you can obviously know who he voted for. But that's neither here or there, right? Let me come over here. He has another video where he's saying something. So I'm going to open that video. I want to hear what he has to say on TikTok.
China.
All right, so I'm going to bring that over so he can say what he wants to say here. All right.
Has been on a war path. China has been on a war path exposing how massively overpriced designer clothes are in the US. And we know why this is happening because good old Donnie Boy wants to have a tariff war with China. If you feel like you lost in the sauce, look at this.
It's not looking good for the big brands. Turns out, those designer bags and shoes you've been paying thousands for, many of them are actually made in China, not Italy, not France.
Wow.
Same factories, same materials, same products, just with different labels slapped on. And now, China's done keeping quiet. With trade tensions rising, Chinese insiders are spilling the truth. The luxury items sold in high-end boutiques are often no different from what's sold on D-Gate.
So I guess you gotta ask yourself, is it really important to have a designer label? Are you one of the ones that's willing to spend $40,000 for the same bag that you can get for $1,200? Do you value your American dollar that you have to spend on stuff that ain't worth it? China manufacturing companies has been putting everybody on blast. So if you didn't know, now you know. Are you gonna be one of the ones that's gonna stop spending all your money? Or are you gonna be one of the ones that's actually gonna start spending wisely? China has been on a war path.
All right, let me see what this other guy is saying. Hear what he's saying from over here.
Do you know how much a Chinese factory make for a pair of Nike shoes? $10, which sells $150 on the shelf. A Stanley Cup, $50. The factory gets $1. But when they sell millions of them, that's millions of dollars. And all surplus. That's where the surplus comes from. But for every $1 the factory made, somebody in America is making $49.
Wow, let's bring that. Let's play that.
Who is benefit? Here is, well, a little. Do you know?
I want to play that. I want to play that again, okay? Please, I have to play that again. It's what I was saying earlier. It is what I was saying earlier. All right, let's play this again.
How much a Chinese factory make for a pair of Nike shoes? $10, which sells $150 on the shelf. A Stanley Cup, $50. The factory gets $1. But when they sell millions of them, that's millions of dollars. And all surplus. That's where the surplus comes from. But for every $1 the factory made, somebody in America is making $49. Who is benefit from the globalization? And think about the pollution the factory has to cause in the local area. Who is benefit from the globalization? I don't know. Do you know how much a Chinese...
All right, let me hear what he's saying over here.
Wow, the billionaires in the United States surpass the communist China. Way to go. Wow, the billionaires in the United States surpass the communist China. Way to go.
All right.
Wow. In China nowadays, if you speak a dialect.
Okay. No, I don't need.
Wow.
I don't need that. Let me find.
A $2,300.
All right. So he's going to be talking about. He's going to be talking about the iPhone, right? So with that, you can hear what an iPhone would actually cost, right? He's going to be talking about the iPhone. So let's go back over.
Apple iPhone, yes. Anything's $300 Apple iPhone, yes. Anything's possible. You know what else is possible? A $2,300 Chinese EV car.
Oh.
One day it will be possible. Because the thing with made in China is when China make more and more things, it becomes cheaper.
Like with everything, the more you make, the cheaper things come. Supply and demand, right? I use man and woman as an example. So if one guy go in a room with 10 women, and he could be an ugly dude, and the woman actually know that there are no other man available, right? They are going to be clamoring for this one guy, right? They'll be willing to share this one guy, right? So supply and demand, and vice versa. You walk in a room, 10 guys and one woman, all of the men are going to want that one woman, and they're going to be saying what they need to say to convince her that she needs to pick him, right? This is just how it is. Supply and demand. All right, I'm going to find something else, and let me see.
So China is revealing all the information about retail and how the products are made in China that many of us in America believe are made in Italy and France and all these special factories and things. Y'all, this stuff is the same cheap stuff made in China. And I can't say I knew that because I knew. So China is revealing all the information.
All right, my guy. You can't say it's cheap stuff, right? You can't say it's cheap stuff because they've been making these products in China for decades. And you didn't know that these products were from China because they have the brand logo and that it's manufactured in Italy on it, because that's where they do the engraving and putting their logo stamping on it. So you didn't know. So now you calling it cheap because the cat is out of the bag. But that's not the case. It has always been made in China since way back in the 80s and 90s, right? So you need to fix that thought. All right?
About retail and how the products are made in China that many of us in America believe are made in Italy and France and all these special factories and things. Y'all, this stuff is the same cheap stuff made in China. And I can say I knew that because I knew that because I've sold shoes for a long time in different items. And you just can't imagine the magnitude of the amount of factories they have and the level of detail they have and what they can actually do. So why wouldn't we go over there and make the stuff? Now, I'm American all day. I've lived in America, served in the military. I'm an American citizen. But I can tell you that if you want a good deal on product, or if you want to buy something, we ain't got nobody here in America that can sew. We ain't got nobody here in America that's going to sit down and put a pair of shoes together and actually focus and get it done the right way. And if we did have that, a pair of shoes would probably cost $450 for a regular pair because we just don't have it. So, look.
That's not true. I know I know a a shoe manufacturer that actually makes shoes, and they're at a pretty good price at leather. So that's not true. Okay, you just don't know. Doesn't mean you can speak for everybody, right? There are people out there that make decent, well-made leather shoes at a good price. All right.
I don't know what we gonna do when it comes to retail. I don't need no more clothes. I'm 44 years old, but my children and younger people, y'all gonna need some new stuff. Let me know what you're gonna do because hey, DH Gate been open for a while. I've been shopping at DH Gate for a while, but I ain't paying 125% tariff on a pair of shoes. I just ain't gonna do it. All right. So let me know what y'all gonna do with this stuff coming from China. Have a good day.
All right, my guy. So let me find something else. As everybody can see that.
Solo con una cuchara.
As everybody can see that everybody has something to say. And let me see. What is it?
Fucking wild. Our clothing is currently on its way to us from China. It's the best place to manufacture clothing. That's just how it is, that in Vietnam. But we pre-launch in a week, and we'll have our clothing in another 3 weeks. And now there is an extra 100%, 104% markup on this clothing. We spent an ungodly amount, I don't even want to say the number, on this, and now we have to pay over double that number. We were given zero time to plan for this or budget for this. Like, we had all these plans of where we wanted our budget to go to. Now this all has to go to tariffs. I just don't even understand how this is, like, legal. This kills small businesses.
Imagine being so self-entitled, that you think like cheap labor in other countries that use children to manufacture your clothing is a good idea. What I will say though is I will never buy anything from Cool Down because they use cheap laborers from other countries that actually hurt the environment as well. Yeah.
You know, when I hear foolishness like this, cheap labor from other countries that actually hurt the environment, anywhere that there's manufacturing going on, there's some adverse effect to the environment. But for you to say that they're using children and you actually never been there to say that, that's a false. That's propaganda. Go there and actually see it for yourself and don't just listen to what people are telling you. Because if you do that, you will be spreading false information, disinformation, and people will believe this narrative. Yes, these brands are making their products in China, Vietnam, and other places of the sort, India. And there's an organization out there that actually go and investigate these factories to find out if they're doing slave labor. And then they find these factories. So it's an organization of all these let me look it up. Let me look up the organization that what's the name of the sorry. Organization that the oversight organization. What's the name of the oversight organization for the clothing Clothing industry. Clothing industry. All right, industries. All right, so these are results. Okay. All right, let me bring this up. Get myself out of the way so you guys can see this. Oh, it's too big. I need to bring it down. So you got it. So it's in clear view. Bring it down. And okay. Why can't I bring this screen? Oh, okay. I have to bring this down some more. So it's 175. So I have to bring it down. It's cutting part of it off. Show more. Why is it cutting part of it off? Maybe I have to bring it down more so it's coming full screen. It's 150. Why? Let me see. Yeah, it's cutting it off. Well, I don't understand why it's doing that. All right, so why can't why won't it scroll over? Let me maybe. All right, I'll read it to you guys. All right. So the main oversight organization for the clothing industry include the International Apparel Federation and the United States Fashion Industry Association. The IAF represents global apparel manufacturers and their association, while the USFIA focus on United States brand retailers and industries interests. Additionally, organizations like the Federal Trade Commission and other Office of Textile and Apparel, OTEXA, play roles in regulating and overseeing aspects of the clothing industry, such as trade practices and consumer protection. These same organization, my friends, these same organization is responsible for making sure that they regulate these textile companies, these apparel company, to see if they're using slave labor. So when I hear an individual saying that they're using slave labor, right? It's misinformation. How dare you say that and not know the fact? It's kind of like someone looking in your face and you know the truth and they're lying to you. Gaslighting, falsehood, lies. But sometimes some people will just speak, right? Sometimes some people will just speak out of context and not know the information that they're speaking about. And I know some of you have experienced that individual or people that will actually do that. Don't listen to these kind of propaganda. But I'm going to finish playing the video just so she can talk about what she thinks, well, what she feels and not what the facts are, right? So let me screen share. Go back.
Yeah, we're the problem, right? The right is the problem. People who voted for Trump are the problem. Maybe one thing that you should definitely do is take a good hard look in the mirror and maybe start buying your products in-house in America versus outside. Okay, bye.
Fucking wild.
All right, let me read some of these comments that I just see, right? Chinese are snitching. Charlie. Hey, Charlie, what's going on, man? Great topic. Thank you, man. Thank you. Let me see. While I'm traveling, I guess you know how to pick them. Yeah, I guess I know how to pick them. That's a good one. That's a good one, Nix. Well, women are intriguing and fascinating to me, right? I've picked good ones and I've picked bad ones. I've picked materialistic ones and I pick ones that are not so materialistic, right? I like a simple, natural, elegant woman, right? So, yeah, I guess I know. I guess I know how to pick them, right? Maybe I just sometime have to learn to pick better, right? But it's either near here or there, right? So let me see if I find any more interesting uh, bits of video to continue, right? See what I want to. Let me see. Give me a second. Wow. All right. So I found another video. This was a video that I watched earlier, and I believe he's gonna explain the price, right? So let me bring this video up.
It ain't
Right.
no
All right. So let me bring it in screen.
way we've been getting finesse like this, y'all. And China just exposed it all. So boom, Americans out here dropping $800.12 and even $4,000 and more on design of clothes, thinking it's all luxury, all high quality clothes, the high end stuff. But China just pulled the curtain back and showed the world that most of the stuff is made in the same factories with material that costs a fraction of the price. So we're talking shoes that cost $30 to make, but is being sold in US for $700. And we're talking hoodies that cost $10 to make, that's being sold for over $300, and jeans that cost $50 to make, that's being sold for over $300, sold for $5 to $1,000. That's not my end. That's robbery, y'all. And this is the crazy thing. This is not even new. A lot of people just been blind to it. They think it just because they got a fancy label, that means they cost more. In reality, that just means the mock UPS is better.
Yo, I just saw a shirt when he's taking the shirt off the rack and throwing them down. Let me bring it back. That I once had. Let me bring it back. Let me bring it back. Let me go back and see if I can find what he's.
A lot of people just
And
to make
stop
that's
it.
being sold for over $300, sold for $5 to $1,000. That's not my end. That's robbery, y'all. And this is the crazy thing. This is not even new. A lot of people just been blind to it. They think it just because they got a fancy label, that means they cost more. In reality, that just means the
I
mock
think I
UPS
missed
is
it.
better. For $300 in jeans that cost $50 to make, that's being sold for over $300, sold for $5 to $1,000. That's not my
300,
end. That's robbery, y'all. And this is the crazy thing. This is not even new. A lot of people
No,
just
that's
been
not it.
blind to
That's not it.
it. They think it
That's not it.
just because they got a fancy label, that means
I
they
think
cost
I'm.
more. In reality, that just means the mock
Maybe a
UPS is better.
mistake, but
China basically said, hey, y'all go now. Y'all better act like, and now everybody mad. They not mad at China. They mad at the brands that been overpricing this stuff they've been buying. They've made it the brands that they've been worshiping. See a liquor, no Diddy. They see. And now they were never buying
they, they use the AI and say no Diddy.
quality. They were buying status. And they finally waken up. All of this happened because of this tariffs. People would have never knew, or some people was really too blind to even notice the fact. But now everything is front and center for everybody to see. So if you wanted them, people that dropped the check on this design of, and now you feel played, let me know down below in the comments.
Wow. Yo, listen, people. Listen, people.
The Resilience Jenkins just uploaded a.
No. I don't. I want that.
It ain't no way we've been getting.
I don't want that. Let me. Come on.
It ain't no way we've.
Let me mute you for a second. I want to mute. I'll mute the audio. All right. So let me scroll down because there's a video that I saw earlier Where is it? It was an interesting one. Is it this? Let me see.
In terms of tariff war.
Okay. Yes. This is it. All right.
Total war between.
I want to start it from the beginning.
Nah, I'm so.
Even at the cost.
All right. So I'm going to play another video. What time is it? Oh, phone died. I'll put it on the charger. Okay. All right. So let me play this one. So I watched this earlier, but I didn't watch it entirely. Right? Because sometimes I don't like to watch the video. I want to get the same reaction when I share a video that you would get when you first see the video. So oftentimes people would watch a video and then they'll share the video and then they'll have their reaction or they have their comments about it. And it's not authentic. And sometimes when I watch a video and share the video, I tend to want to watch the video the first time so I can get the full feel and the same feeling at the same time that you're watching it. Right? So let me play this video.
Of a total war between China and the United States.
Let me start from the beginning.
Even at the cost of a total war between China and the United States in terms of tariff war or trade war or otherwise, this is the firm decision of China. China will never cry uncle or go to Washington with its hat in its hand and beg for something. This is not the way China is doing. Remember what I say, and let's wait for another day or another week or less than 4 years to come and to see what will happen.
What do you mean when you refer to any other kind of war? What do you mean by that?
Multiple wars. You are talking about the tariff war, the trade war, the technology war, the talent war, the energy war, and the threatened military war of different kinds, including proxy war, etc. I think China is fully prepared to deal with the United States as it is,
Wow.
as friend if they want to be, as a foe if they want to be, in any way, peace or otherwise, even at the cost of a total war between China and the United States in terms of tariff war or trade war or otherwise. This is the firm decision of China. China will never cry uncle or go to Washington with its hat in its hand and beg for something. This is not the way China is doing. Remember what I say, and let's wait for another day or another week or less than 4 years to come and to see what will happen.
What do you mean when you refer to any other kind of war? What do you mean by that?
Multiple wars. You are talking about the tariff war, the trade war, the technology war, the talent war, the energy war, and the threatened military war of different kinds, including proxy war, etc. I think China is fully prepared to deal with the United States as it is, as friend if they want to be, as a foe if they want to be, in any way, peace or otherwise, even at the cost of a total war between.
Wow. Guys, did you hear what he just said? Let me do something. Guys, did you hear what he just said? Okay, so I got that taken care of. Did you hear what he just said? Any segment of a war that the United States is ready for, China is ready for that. Read between the lines. That's almost scary to hear, but the facts are the facts. That's why I had to play it a second time. I feel like I want to play it a third time. those of you on Instagram, I am going to tell you what this man says. I am going to play it again, and those of you that are on YouTube, I'm playing it again because I'm going to read it to the folks on Instagram. Listen, this is kind of scary to hear. This is a Chinese official. This is a Chinese official that's saying they're ready for any war, trade war, technology war, right? So I'm going to pause it as he says it, and I'm going to repeat it. So bear with me. Let me make sure I started from the beginning. All right.
Even at the cost of a total
Even at the cost of a total war between
China and the United States.
Between China and the United States in terms of
tariff war or trade.
In terms of tariff war or trade war or otherwise.
Trade war or otherwise. This is the
firm decision of China.
Decision of China. China will never cry uncle or go to Washington
with its hat
in its hand and beg for something.
This is not
the way China is
This is not the way China is doing.
Remember what I said.
And let's
wait for another day.
And let's wait for another
day
or another week or less than
4 years to come.
And less than 4 years to come. That means they're counting down Donald Trump's time in office. But just to hear him say that, right? Let me read what the subtitle says. Before I do that.
And to see what will happen.
Okay?
What do you mean when you refer to
And so this particular podcast, Times Radio, asked him, what do you mean when any other kind of war?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Okay? He's going to reply. Multiple wars.
You are talking about the tariff.
You are talking about the tariff war,
the trade war, the
technology war,
the talent war,
the
energy war, and
the threatened military war of
different kinds,
including proxy war,
etc.
etc.
China is fully prepared.
I think China is fully prepared
to deal with the United States as
it is.
It is as friend if they want.
As friend if they want to be.
As a foe if they want.
As a fool if they want to be, or foe if they want to be. I believe that's what he meant.
Want to be. In any way,
peace
or otherwise, even at the cost.
Wow, that is scary, people, because he's indirectly, right, making threats. Wow, let me read what the subtitle says, and I'm going to copy this link, and I'm going to drop it in the description. Wow. Let me get this link and put it in the description, because you guys really need to. Let me put it. It's going to be in the YouTube description, y'all. So everybody that's on Instagram and watching me on Instagram, you're not seeing the links that I'm sharing, but I'm hoping that you go over to YouTube and actually watch the video, but I need you to watch this particular video, this Chinese official saying that, right? So let me just drop it in the link. Let me drop the link in the description. press save. Okay. And go back here. Okay. All right. So I dropped the link in the description. It's a TikTok link, and I feel kind of weird just hearing him saying that, because that's a lot in a little bit of words that he said. And let me read what the comments say on this particular. All right, so I'm sharing it on YouTube. Everybody that's on Instagram, so go over to YouTube and you will see the guy. You watch the video, right? So let me read what the comments say. So this particular video at 15,900K likes on TikTok and 2,037 comments. So let me read some of the comments, see what it says. All right. Nice how he didn't slander or disrespect anyone in the talking. In talking. Next one. So that one was by Best of Highlights with a Z. And then this one is going to be from Rick Barksdale 475. Chinese folks speaks way more English than America speaks Chinese. That alone tells me they are so ahead of us, right? So ahead of us. China is saying, let's go outside. You know what that means when they say, let's go outside. That's what that means, right? That means put those dukes up when they say, let's go outside, right? So I'm reading the description and let me continue, right? This.
Nah, I'm so happy that I'm
no. Come on, I don't know why I did that. Let me go back to this.
Even at the cost of a...
Sorry, guys. All right. So this one comes from Kubas, Kubas. China becoming the first world power. Because what this guy said, he's ready. They are ready. And folks, I don't know if you know that China has been going around the world and buying up lands in the islands in Africa, and they've been putting military bases. So here's how they're working, right? From friends that I've known that actually been to some of these places. Unlike places like France, Australia, Germany, United States, England, where they go there and they make undermined deals with the heads of the different African nations or different African countries. And if they don't play ball, they get rid of them, right? They sniper them and put somebody in power that can be a puppet. And then they're, being the puppet master dangling the strings. So what China did, okay, we're going to take a playbook out of America's and Italy, and France's playbook, right? And some of these other Western countries. But we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to go and build infrastructure for these countries. So now they go to Africa and they give loans and they build roads. They go to Jamaica, they build highways. They go to Trinidad, wherever they go, right? They go to these nations and they build up the nations in exchange for free zones where they can put factory, because some of these Chinese factories that are doing manufacturing are in Jamaica. They're in the islands. They are in Africa, right? They're going around the world and they're doing something a bit different. They're building the infrastructure for the country that they're in, which benefits them and it also benefits the Chinese, right? So when they go and they put their bases in these different places, they're building up their artillery low key, right? So you have to wonder why they're doing it, why they're going to the islands that are surrounding America, surrounding different parts of Europe, and they're and countries, and doing deals and building up infrastructure, doing it in Africa, right? Why are they doing that? Because they're building their infrastructure. So they are saying, and this is what I believe, what I think, and some people I spoke to, right? Allegedly, right, that China is building up a way to become the world's superpower. They're already bigger than America. They have they have billions of people. Let me look up how much billions of people that China have, right? Let me come over here. So let me do a search. How many people China have? China population versus USA. Okay. Why is the green not showing? Why is it doing that? 125%. Why is it not showing? Why is it not showing the full screen? Zoom. Oh, let me expand this. Okay. Weird. Oh, I see. That was my bad. All right. Oh no, it's not my bad. Something going on with the screen. It's not showing the full screen before. All right. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something different. I am going to take this out and see what happens. I'm going to move this screen over here, and I'm going to bring this screen over, open, and I am going to bring this over here and do and expand it and see what happens. Okay, let me move this out of the way here. Okay, and then I will do this. I bring you over. I copy this link right here and put it in this. Open this. Put it here. Paste. Enter. Okay. All right. I just want to. All right. So. All right. Let me close this. Let me bring something over here. Give me a second, guys. Bear with me. Copy this. Because I don't know why that did that. And put it here. Paste. All right. And then now I can close this out. Close this out. I'll close you out. I don't need you anymore. You been. All right. Oh, it's doing the same thing. I don't understand why it's doing that. I don't understand why it's. All right, I'll keep it like this. Just move this over. I just need to read the information. I'll highlight it. Sorry, guys. All right. So, according to the search, as of the end of 2024, China's population is estimated at around 1.408 billion people, while the United States population is around 347 million, meaning China's population is significantly larger, approximately 4 times the size of the United States population. Do you guys understand that? 4 times the amount of people. That is dangerous for us. If they have weaponry and they can go to war, one amount, if they have 2 for 1, 2 Chinese for every 1 American, right? We're done. And that's sad to say. We're done. America has the strongest military power, right? America has the strongest military power. And even though we have the strongest military power, we don't know what the Chinese have. We don't know what some of the other world's population have, right? But China is a sovereign nation. America can't go there and do any weapons of mass destruction investigation like they can do over in the Middle East, right? They can't. It's not going to be allowed, right? So China is a superpower. And in my honest and humble opinion, I believe that United States is number 1, because of course we had the atomic bomb first, right? And China is number 2. And they've been doing military testing, right? There's a couple of superpowers around the world, being that Israel is one of them, but is United States and China and the other Russia. So I think it's where United States, China, Russia, Israel, right? So the population of China is vast. And so when this guy said what he said, right, it's scary to even think that we'll be fine if they go to war, if they decide to go to war, because this man is saying, hey, we're ready. So let me continue. Let me go back and continue reading what they. All right. Let's go outside. China becoming the first world power. I read that already. The world stands with China. That's what FADA say, FADA, FADA. And then impact change. I think China is going to win this war. And I'm coming for you, says, not gonna lie, China ain't messing around. Charlie says, we are witnessing history. We are witnessing the shift of power. You know, let me read that again, right? Let me read that again. And I'm going to highlight it so you guys can see it. This one right here. This is from Charlie. And I'm sorry I wasn't sharing my screen on YouTube, guys. But everybody that's on the gram, they're seeing me. Listen, let me read this again. Charlie says, and this had 492 likes, right? Charlie says, we are witnessing history. We are witnessing history. We are witnessing the change, the shift of power. Whew. Whew. All right. Next one from Barbara. China is sick of Trump. So Amore say people with real power don't brag about it. They don't get on TV and say other countries are kissing their ass. They simply move in silence. China is light years ahead of US. DT is the death of us. I don't know what DT means, but it means something. This is 10 hours ago, 176 likes or hearts. Let me see what Ace Man says. China did not start this problem. I stand with Chinese. China invest in its people and manufacturing. For years, America has not invested in the people or the manufacturing, so now we blame China. This is 111 likes. Wow, man. Wow. Y'all, my people, my questioners, as I like to say, I call you folks the questioners. As you guys know, the logo, so China is not playing. China is not playing. China is not playing. Wow. All right, let me read this. Let me read this last one. Let me go down. All right. So what does one say? Geetandi, that's GEETANN AANDY. All right. China will never lose to America. Never, Donald Duck. Oh, never, Donald Duck. Doesn't speak for me. I stand with China. These are what people are saying. Right? Let me highlight this one because it has the same sentiments as me, right? It says, this is Lobo Caracas. Any kind of war, they will win. That's what Lobo Caracas says. So people know that this man from China is letting us know that they're ready for us. They're ready for us. Wow. Let me see. Let me see over here. They don't need this anymore. I think I'll keep this though. Okay. All right, so. All right. I just want to see something here. Let me find something. Give me a second. Donald. Do a search here and see what Donald Trump is saying about the tariff war with China. Comments on tariff war with China. Let's see if I have any video. Let me see if any new news came out a day ago. U.S.-China trade war, Trump tariff consensus. Let me see what this says.
Well, turns out American consumers don't want to pay thousands more for their Apple products. Who knew? President Donald Trump has made a tariff concession overnight, exempting smartphones and computers from the bulk of his China tariffs. So, is he folding? And how will this standoff end? Anna Fifield is the Asia-Pacific editor at the Washington Post and is with us now. Kia ora, Anna. Thanks for being with us. What do you make of that concession?
I think it's going to make Xi Jinping and the Chinese leader feel like he has even more of an upper hand in this standoff between these two leaders, because Donald Trump has said throughout this tariff war there will be no negotiations, there will be no exemptions. In the past week we have seen him welcome negotiations with 75 countries when the stock market tanked and the bond market went haywire, and now he has done another flip-flop on electronic goods, exempting them from the tariffs that he's imposed on China. And that's because companies like Apple, like the chip maker Nvidia in the United States, have been reinforcing to the White House just what an enormous impact these tariffs will have on their businesses, on their prices. They're talking about another $700 on an iPhone for American consumers. So there's a lot of panic among American companies, and they've been leaning on Donald Trump to change his mind on this, and he has. So we're essentially now in this kind of game of chicken between the leaders of the world's two biggest economies, and we're just waiting to see who blinks first, and Donald Trump has blinked twice this week.
Can you give us a sense as to how this situation is being received by people in China?
Yeah, I mean...
All right. Guys, give me a moment. I need to try to fix something. I don't know why the screen is looking like this. Let me see. It's let me copy this link and let me see. It's at 140. So close. All right, so trying to figure out why it's doing that. That's crazy. It's interesting. Why is it doing that? Why is it cutting off? I don't understand why it's doing that. The zoom. That's weird. Showing up half of the screen. Paste.
Well, turns out American consumers don't want to pay thousands.
All right, so don't understand why it's showing half of the screen and not what it needs to show, since I expanded it. All right, I'll just go to 140. I'll fix that another time. I'll just
to pay thousands more for their Apple products. Who knew? Well, turns out American consumers don't want to pay thousands more for their Apple products. Who knew? President Donald Trump has made a tariff concession overnight, exempting smartphones and computers from the bulk of his China tariffs. So, is he folding? And how will this standoff end? Anna Fifield is the Asia-Pacific editor at the Washington Post and is with us now. Kia ora, Anna. Thanks for being with us. What do you make of that concession?
Yeah.
I think it's going to make Xi Jinping and the Chinese leader feel like he has even more of an upper hand in this standoff between these two leaders, because Donald Trump has said throughout this tariff war there will be no negotiations, there will be no exemptions. In the past week we have seen him welcome negotiations with 75 countries when the stock market tanked and the bond market went haywire, and now he has done another flip-flop on electronic goods, exempting them from the tariffs that he's imposed on China. And that's because companies like Apple, like the chip maker Nvidia in the United States, have been reinforcing to the White House just what an enormous impact these tariffs will have on their businesses, on their prices. They're talking about another $700 on an iPhone for American consumers. So there's a lot of panic among American companies, and they've been leaning on Donald Trump to change his mind on this, and he has. So we're essentially now in this kind of game of chicken between the leaders of the world's two biggest economies, and we're just waiting to see who blinks first, and Donald Trump has blinked twice this week.
Can you give us a sense as to how this situation is being received by people in China?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell what people in China actually think, because the news that they get about all of this is very highly censored. But the consistent message from Beijing, from the Communist Party leaders there, has been one of defiance. They have said that they will fight to the end on this. They have matched the tariffs every round that Donald Trump has imposed. And I think the leadership in Beijing really sees this as a staring competition, as a chance to prove themselves Donald Trump's equal. And we've seen over the years, over the decades, that the Chinese leadership will sacrifice people's well-being, people's comfort for the greater good of the Communist Party, for the strength of national security of the economy. So I think they won't be too worried about whether Chinese people feel the pinch at the moment. And they have a lot of financial instruments in their quiver at the moment as well that they could unleash in terms of boosting consumption, giving payouts to households in China that they can try to alleviate some of the impact a bit.
Yeah, talk to us a bit more about that. If indeed this trade war drags on, what is likely to be the impact on China's economy?
It's going to be enormous on both economies. We're now talking about 145% tariffs on all Chinese goods, apart from these electronics that were just exempted. The Chinese economy is not in great shape. They've been trying to hit 5% growth each year. That's been quite tricky. But the one bright spot in the economy has been exports, has been all of the solar panels and BYD cars and goods that they have been sending out to the world. And so that has helped soften the impact of this very weak domestic economy inside China. They're stuck in a property market slump. The jobless rate is really high. So exports has been the one thing that has been softening that blow, and now that takes a hit with this trade war, that's really going to hurt their economy.
It's been fascinating over the last couple of weeks to look at different responses from around the world, and I think there was a photograph that caught a lot of attention, and that was the leaders of South Korea, or trade leaders of South Korea, China and Japan shaking hands there. What is the likelihood that we see South Korea, Japan, China, these big Asian economies working more closely together as a response to the tariffs?
Yeah, well, that meeting, the photo that you're talking about, was already set up before all of these tariffs came in. But it was a good opportunity. I mean, China has certainly made a meal out of this and saying, look, we're already working more closely. I think Japan and South Korea, you know, both very strong security allies of the United States, were completely dumbfounded, flummoxed to be hit with these huge tariffs, 24% and 25% respectively. So that has really caused a lot of soul searching in both of those countries. They both do a lot of trade already with China as well. So they are just now trying to rebalance and figure out how to thread this needle. I think it's inevitable that there will be some closer economic ties, because the certainty of the US market has been called into question, but neither of these countries is going to want to become a dumping ground for Chinese products that they can't sell in the United States.
So as it stands this morning, who would you say has the upper hand in this face-off between China and the US?
I think Xi Jinping definitely has the upper hand. He feels that he is on solid ground and standing up to Donald Trump. We have these, in both countries, we have these populist, nationalist leaders who are both trying to make their countries great again. Xi Jinping looks at the pressures on Donald Trump, the stock market, the head of JP Morgan, the bond market, Apple, Nvidia, all of these companies and market forces putting pressure on him and causing him to flip-flop, to change course from time to time. I think that Xi Jinping feels like he can hold out for longer. And so I think we're not going to see many concessions from the Chinese side. I think the really scary thing at the moment is that I don't see where the off-ramp from this crisis is. And this is rapidly becoming about so much more than trade. I think really decoupling is now well underway, this concept that Donald Trump has talked about for a long time. And I think that this is going to have ramifications in the Taiwan Strait, as you just talked about with Judith Collins, like in the national security spheres and the military spheres and the technology spheres, and on the kinds of things where China has been cooperating with the world, like climate change progress. So I think this is much, much bigger than trade already. I think the tariffs almost don't count anymore because the number is so huge that it's just going to bring the trade between the world's two biggest economies to a halt. So we're in quite scary territory.
All right, folks. This was an interesting stream. And everybody that's chiming on Instagram, I appreciate you. Everybody that's chiming on YouTube, I appreciate you. I am going to wrap it up right here. And remember, on those of you on Instagram, remember to follow if you're not following. Tell a friend to tell a friend to follow us. Subscribe on YouTube. Remember, we're trying to get to the 10,000 subscribers. About 6 weeks ago, we were only at 680, and did a couple of interviews, and within a matter of a few days, we hit over 4,000 subscribers, and then within a week or so, from 4,000, 4,500, and we got to 5,000, and then we got to 6,000, and we've been steadily climbing in the past week and a half to get into 7,000 right now. So we want to get to 10,000 subscribers. People, we need to get to 10,000 subscribers to help us out, and so we can grow this channel, and we can bring more interviews, we can do more streams, we can keep things going. All right, I appreciate you, and I'm going to wrap it up here right now. So thank you for watching, and see you on the next one. So as I like to say in closing, remember, question everything, because if you don't, you may fall for anything. Think and say. Have a good day.